welcome to Novels and Nightcaps, the podcast where we read, drink, and ramble. I'm Nor,
And I'm Gabe.
and this week we're making our way through part 3 of The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. High roads, low roads. But, as always, before we get into the book, Gabe, what are you drinking?
This week I'm drinking an old fashioned. It's specifically an old fashioned with 50% the normal amount of sugar because I honestly thought, especially for this section, it was incredibly underwhelming and one noted, and it was, it was just kind of exactly what we all expected, I think, except without some of the sugar you would expect from a master like Joe Abercrombie. What about you, Nor? What are you drinking?
On a similar vein, I got some name brand, definitely not sponsored, gold standard light beer, and
Wow.
some name brand, also non-sponsored, purified water.
Did you buy
Because
bottled water for this to be like it's higher class? Bro goes either mezcal or bottled. Is that Dasani? Did you go Dasani?
name brand, non-sponsored,
My bad. My bad.
purified water.
Well, why did you choose non-sponsored name brand purified water and also a beer?
Because honestly, this book is so easy to digest. It kind of does the job, and you know, it's nothing special. It's just I.
Dang. Dang. That's okay. I think that's very valid to express both of our opinions on this section because we've talked a little bit about it before we started filming, and we were both quite, I'd say, disappointed. There's this bug flying around, and I'm
I
going
see
to
it.
lose my mind. You see, it's actually going to make me lose it. Anyways, yeah, we were both pretty underwhelmed with what happened. I expected this section to end with some sort of reveal. That seemed fitting for a normal book to have, right before part 4, for there to be some sort of, thing that would have you on the edge of your seat. And Sunny throwing up everywhere was not what I expected at all. So I'm a little disappointed that all of the fun stuff is going to be kind of crammed into part 4, if it is fun, that is. Um, but all the twists and turns are going to be stuck there, and that to me is quite disappointing. So where did we last leave off? What was happening?
So, part 2 ended similarly to part 1. This big climactic battle sequence that follows some similar beats, right? We talked about that last episode. And this one is out in the open sea. It ends in catastrophe, and all of our heroes, or devils, are sort of spread out. They're scattered, lost, adrift. They wash up the shores of some island. I don't actually know where they landed. I think I
Yeah,
missed
me
that part.
neither. I was always a little confused there. Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page because I was a little too embarrassed to be like, I don't actually know where they are. They're because I kept being like, are they near Troy? But then they said at the end of the section that they have to get on a boat to go. I think they're on an island, just some island
Yeah,
in the
some
middle.
nondescript island. And yeah, we essentially have 3 different quote unquote storylines here. We have Brother Diaz and Viga. They're
Mhm.
one pair. The second pair is Alex and Sunny. And then the last pair is, oh, I guess we have 4. We have 4 pairs. Because the third one is Balthazar and Baptiste. And the
Baptiste,
fourth
yeah.
one is Baron Rickard and Jacob of Thorn. And
Oh
so,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, we have 4 different pairings. And weirdly
Okay,
enough,
I was about to say before we go on, I think we should definitely rank these pairings into what we found to be the most engaging and least engaging. Because for something like this, I mean, for any sort of perspective storytelling, you always have that perspective that you're looking forward to, and that perspective that you just can't wait to be over. So, Nor, for you, what was your favorite? What was your least favorite? And then what pairing kind of fell in the middle?
yeah, so my favorite was Balthazar and Baptiste, probably. I felt like their banter felt more lively than in previous uh parts. Especially Baptiste. Baptiste felt like she had a lot more character, like not development, but just more character. You know, she had more personality. She felt live, more lively. Um, After that, I would say it was Brother Diaz and Viga, then Jacob and Rickard, and finally Sunny and Alex.
You
Just,
Sunny and Alex was your least favorite? That's
I
interesting
think
because you
so.
love
Yeah,
Sunny so much. Like Sunny and Alex are two of your favorite characters, yet they were your least favorite pairing.
yeah.
Why?
I feel like I just cared more about the other characters at this point. I feel like I just feel like Alex wasn't really doing anything, and then Sunny, the Sunny part of it was interesting. You know, the whole idea of her having these feelings toward Alex,
Mhm.
um, and these
Kind
feelings
of
that
high
she's afraid.
school.
Yeah.
It felt very high school, which I thought was fun, but also very conflicting, like tone wise to some of the. Which it
No,
made it
yeah.
kind of funny for that reason, but it also sometimes felt out of place a
No,
little bit.
exactly.
But
Like it's an interesting perspective. It was just it kind of gave me whiplash because it came out of nowhere, and it feels like when I'm reading a book called The Devils, I'm just expecting a little bit more than high school romance, you know.
mhm.
But
I
yeah.
agree.
How
So
about you?
your top was Baptiste and Bal. They were at the very bottom of my. Yeah, Baptiste and Balthazar were the lowest on my tier list here because I Baptiste was a lot more interesting. I gave like I'm going to give her credit. Like I was far more interested, but immediately after they met is she the Duchess or is she the female lord, right?
The female lord,
Right after,
yes.
yeah, once they met her, I was like, oh, I was tired of it. I like Balthazar now. I really have enjoyed Balthazar's chapters, and he's very powerful. He's very interesting. I like how he keeps trying to break the bonds, yet keeps failing. And then after he fails, he acts like he's submitting now. Like every single time he fails, he's like, "Fine, I guess that it really is strong." And then immediately tries again. So I this has to lead somewhere bigger. I'm hoping that something else happens with that. But after Baptiste and Balthazar, I would probably say for me it would be oh wait, sorry, that's the lowest. Let's go from bottom up. Lowest Baptiste Balthazar, then Baron Rickard and Jacob of Thorn. The next, I would say it was Alex and Sonny, and the top for me was Brother Diaz and Viggo Wolf. Uh, while theirs was shallow, I also found it the most entertaining and engaging for me to read because I thought it was funny how just trashy of a person Brother Diaz is. I just love. I just really enjoyed reading how just a complete failure he is, and he still in his internal monologue tries to justify his behavior, and it's like, no, no, I can't do this, and still falls into it. And while it did make me roll my eyes, I also still was engaged when I was reading it. So that's what I would say.
All right. Yeah. No, this is what I like about talking about books with you. It sometimes we'll have just completely different takes. But I
Yeah.
no, I definitely get that. Um
Okay,
I don't know.
so what was it about so Sonny and Alex were your least favorite, right? Where was Brother Diaz? Was he in the middle? Was he near the top?
Uh I'm pretty sure he was near the top. Yeah, he was second.
He was second. Okay.
Yeah,
So for you, did you find their not even like love interest? Is it much more carnal than that? They're just lust for each other. Was that entertaining? Did you find that to be just ridiculous and worthless to the story? What was your perspective on that?
that's the type of like character dynamic that I find interesting and entertaining. So like I was having a blast reading about that as opposed to like Sunny and Alex's like will they won't they. I preferred more Brother Diaz just being like, "Fuck it," and then
Yeah.
literally
Yeah. No, there was one moment whenever Sonny was talking about how they like had mad sex. It was like revealing it to the entirety of the group, like Jacob and stuff. And Baptiste like dialogue while she was pulling off her boots, just saying like, "Well, yeah, why?" She was just making such snarky remarks that actually made me laugh out loud. It was really, in my opinion, probably the funniest moment for me in the book was her commenting during like that scene where they just won before they're all drunk. But I guess Brother Diaz is drunk. But that scene, probably my favorite piece of dialogue between the characters in the book, where you saw each character's personality shine, and it was entertaining, it was funny, and it was engaging. And so I think for me, so far, that was my favorite part of the book, at least with team dialogue.
yeah, by that point, the characters actually do feel like they are part of a group, and you definitely see their individual personalities kind of show up. The dialogue is just fantastic. I mean, Abercrombie definitely excels at that. Even if some of the motivations are a bit shallow, I feel
Yeah.
like the actual like banter they have is hilarious. Like I'm laughing out loud as I'm reading this. Um,
Okay. One thing that really made me pause and get kind of annoyed was whenever Alex found out Brother Diaz was sleeping with Vega for the first time, and she got mad and she got like frustrated with him, and it seemed just undeserving in the moment because they really hadn't built to that, and it wasn't like there was this prolonged expectation. But like Alex didn't necessarily see Brother Diaz highly, like she didn't respect him that much. She was learning from him, but it seemed like everybody agreed that Brother Diaz is kind of just this pathetic little guy that sometimes steps up and does something good. And I don't know, did in that moment did you feel like it was justified? Did it make sense to you? Because I was completely lost. I was kind of annoyed, to be honest. And then she immediately got over it like that. Like she was mad, and then she was like, "Ha ha ha! You said nice things about me." So
yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. I feel like one of the things these characters have been doing throughout the whole book, not just Viga, who Viga has like a canonical reason for doing so, but they'll go through like a bit of character development or like character reaction, and then the chapter will end and they'll be back where they began. Like they forget about things really
mhm.
quickly, it seems. As for that scene, I don't know. I was thinking more along the lines of she was sort of projecting her own feelings towards Sunny, but at the
That's
same
fair.
time, it did feel a bit out of character, or not out of character, but rather like random, because it's not like Brother Diaz is this upstanding character. He's kind of a pathetic monk. So I didn't have that strong of a reaction though. Um,
I literally that moment put down the book and went to our shared. I went to like a notepad and wrote down, "I hate this. I need to talk about this." There was a few moments like that, and that was one of them. And I think the other moment that made me feel that way. But before I share, do you have any other moments that made you just like actually stop and be like, What is going on? This is ridiculous."
yes, the Sunny and Alex like relationship, it just felt like it came out of nowhere. So like that genuinely did throw me off. The other relationships I did see coming, because they do have this like banter going on. Whereas for Sunny and Alex, I did I saw their friendship developing, but I didn't there were no hints of any romantic interest up until this
There was,
part.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so like it threw me off. And then the way it was handled was a bit, cheesy in my
Yeah,
opinion, a bit, high school romancy, YA romance.
it's
So
so
like that
frustrating.
that that threw me off, but Yeah, I mean,
Like in his other books, he does such a good job with this really complicated feeling of romance, of knowing something is wrong yet doing it anyways. He has a character in one of his other books that like has this kind of forbidden-ish relationship with a person of a certain class that he specifically doesn't like. He's like, yeah, but she's still someone I like. Like that's he just kind of acts despite himself. And it felt like he was trying to go for that with Brother Diaz, like he was trying to do something similar. Because like Alex, yeah, I agree with you. It just seems cheesy with Alex and Sonny. But with Brother Diaz, it seems like he was trying to go for that forbidden love, obviously. But it was very clear that it's not love. It was very clear that it's like pretty shallow, just
yeah,
sex.
it's lust, physical, right? Yeah,
And while that works for Vega, and I understand, it immediately diminished their connection whenever she had sex with the werewolf, like in the next fight, which
yeah.
was funny, but like, I don't know, it really undercut the tension for me. Like, oh, okay. Like, it clearly it's not that important because she's tussling with another werewolf in the woods right there.
No, no, that was funny, but I agree. It made the stakes like significantly, like they just dropped, like um, which again, so far throughout the whole book, you don't really feel the stakes. It feels very lighthearted,
Mm.
episodic, which is kind of what he's going for. It's just when you have as cool of a premise as this one, there's just so many opportunities for like high stakes plus human connection, and back to the relationships, it just feels like he should have done one or the other, not both. It feels like double dipping. And so we're reading three different perspectives. I guess we're reading four, right? But three of them are between people who sort of have a romantic relationship of sorts, or at least like banter back and forth, right? And so we read one POV and it's fun, and then we read the next one and it's a bit of the same stuff, right? And so it feels like I'm reading the same relationship kind of progress over and over again.
Yeah, and I think I decided I would have preferred one steady perspective compared to all of them. I would cut down the characters, right? The amount of characters, the how many people are in the team, and I would make it one perspective because I was thinking about this and I was like, who's the like thread of the group? Who's the root? Whenever you look at all these other team stories, there's always that person that roots it together, and you could argue it's Jacob, but Jacob's still not the main character, obviously.
Right.
Like he's not the
Yes.
main character. Is Alex the main character? Kind of, but not really. Is Brother Diaz the main character? Kind of, but not really. And I think he was trying to go for like all of them to be the main character, but I don't think it's satisfying. It doesn't work to make a satisfying book, especially when they're all together all the time, pretty much, except for this part where they broke up. And ultimately, I think that hurt their connection rather than helped it. It was satisfying to see them all together again whenever they had that banter. But I don't think having 150 pages where they're apart and wandering and doing various things with their, relational partner conveniently. Like I just don't think it didn't work for me. But I don't know. How would you fix the problems here? How would you fix it?
Yeah. No. It felt very like again convenient because of course they're gonna end up with the people that they have some sort of romantic inclination towards. How would I fix it? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I was gonna ask you whose POVs would you keep?
Oh, I would keep Brother Diaz.
Right.
Uh, for perspective, POV wise, I would keep Brother Diaz. I think he's useful, and I think he has the most like drastic character arc, internally at least, where he is this fish out of water, and naturally we get to see through his perspective. We get to learn about all this stuff. Honestly, I would say Balthazar wouldn't be bad, having Brother Diaz and Balthazar. I like Alex, but then again, I think it feels like Alex and Brother Diaz are in similar situations. They're completely different characters, but not being a part of the Devils really puts them
They're
in a
both fish out of
similar kind of
water.
headspace. Yeah, and I think you can have one of those. I don't think you need both. Or maybe just have Alex be the perspective character for the entire story and make Brother Diaz not fish out of water. Make him already be there. Um, because the story started off with such a banger introduction that made us
Hmm.
all think that Brother Diaz is the main character. Oh, and then Alex, I guess, is the main character too. Oh, and I guess Balthazar is also the main character. So I think that's the problem: is it starts with such a banger of an introduction, and then it just kind of gets muddy. It just gets muddy, um, and
Yeah.
it seems like it, there's also just some really bad tonal problems going on because it's written in a grimdark style with a lot of violence and kind of like the Suicide Squad movie, right? Uh, but he didn't nail the tone. He didn't nail the perfect match of the team, the violence, the comedy, yet also the heart. And he's missing the heart. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, it's very I think you hit the nail there. It is missing that emotional core, you know? And I think I agree with you in terms of POVs. You know, Brother Diaz is essential, or it feels like he should be essential, right? Um, Alex, Alex too, and Balthazar. I would say those first three POVs that we saw, Brother Diaz, Alex, and Balthazar, are the ones we should have kept throughout the whole book. Another way we could have fixed that problem potentially would have been by consolidating characters. You know, like
Yeah, I agree. Like
all the
making
archetypes that we
Alex
have.
and Sonny the same character. Like that's what
Yes,
I was
yeah,
thinking of. Is like Alex and Sonny are similar. Just make them the same character.
yeah. I would have combined Brother Diaz and Jacob, Sonny and
Hmm.
Alex, and then the other ones are fine as they are. I think.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, when you have Brother Diaz and Alex as both fish out of water characters.
You're right, because it feels like Brother Diaz should be the ground. He should be the root, the heart of the team. Yet Jacob is also the heart of the team. So you don't get like a real sense of who's the leader. And I think
Hmm.
that's missing because the beginning, there's still this bug flying around. I caught him. I just caught him. I
Oh,
did
let's go.
it. Dude. Anyways, yeah. Oh, he's dead now. I don't
Oh,
I'm gonna I guess just flick him onto the ground. I don't
it's okay. This episode is dedicated to
Okay.
that bug.
Yeah, dedicated to that bug I just murdered during the middle of
In
the episode.
memoriam.
Oh, wait, let's raise a glass to him. Raise a glass
Is it glass or can?
to the bug. Anyways, what were we talking about? I completely got off track. Oh yeah,
Character
Jacob.
consolidation.
Okay, so like Jacob of Thorn is very obviously set up to be this heart. He's set up to be the leader. He's set up to be the kind of like guy on the inside in charge. Yet Brother Diaz is also set up for that exact same thing, just without the wisdom,
Hmm.
and it bothers me a lot. Um, but kind of going along these same lines of expectation, reality, and emotional heart, emotional core. How did you feel about the deal with the devil scene? Because I felt like that should have been a lot more emotional. It should have been terrifying and then like heartbreaking, and it felt not that way.
To me, it feels like one of those scenes that the author really wants to write, and it's one of like the early scenes that you come up with, and then you kind of stick through it. You keep that scene in after you've written the whole book, and it just doesn't really match. Like standalone, as a standalone scene, I love it. In the context of the book, it feels sort of off.
Yeah, I think you're right there because it felt a little random. Just I like understand the motivation technically put into the story, but I do think you're right where the scene itself felt out of place, where things just got really weird just very shortly. Everybody started crying. Everybody, which is cool. Like it was cool to have such visceral panic, but it was again undercut by a little joke, which was funny. It was funny, but it definitely undercut the emotion of the moment. It undercut the intensity. And I could picture it very clearly, like all this book. I could picture it as a TV show very clearly. Not necessarily a good TV show, but a TV show. I could picture it.
Creature
So
Commandos,
I
you
don't
know,
know. Creature Commandos, yeah.
Creature
Suicide
Commandos.
Squad, but also like with black paint all over it and
Hmm.
significantly duller, I think. But mm, it's
And
so
like
disappointing.
no, like I feel like we should clarify this. uh, this book is it's fun and it's fine. Like it's not a
Yeah.
bad book per se. It's just with such a cool premise as this one, your
And also, when you're doing a
expectations are just
podcast, well, like when you're doing a podcast about it, you have to sit there and think about the book, and then you think about
right,
the book,
right.
and you realize, oh, this book actually isn't that good, which
Hmm.
sucks. Like I've seen Abercrombie do grimdark so well, and do. So I guess this might not be grimdark. I don't know. Who am I to put it in a box like that? But yeah, I'm just a man with a mic. That's all I am. But but grimdark should be one thing, and this is definitely not. It seems like he tries to subvert the expectation by putting it, these dark, grim characters who are kind of quirky into a fun world where they don't really like think about death too much, really, and don't really like have and sort of they don't really have those intense situations, and there's no tension. There's just no tension, not with the relationships, not with the fight scenes. I mean, come on. You had Jacob try to duel a guy again. I
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
one thing they tell you in writing class, and I'm definitely not, to be very clear, I'm not Mr. Abercrombie. I am by no means. He is a seasoned veteran who has sold more books than I can count, and like, so to be very clear, like this is coming from again a guy with a mic. That just was not the most interesting move there. Like when they were backed up, you know what I wanted to happen? You know what I thought would have been awesome? I really wanted them to use Jacob as a human shield to get out of there because he can't die. So use him like soak up all the arrows and blades and from. I'm like, if you're gonna lean into the funny, like that's funny, but it's also fun. Like it's fun. It's different. It's interesting. Dueling
It's
him is
fun,
not interesting.
right? Yeah, no, it's a very it's a very cyclical book. Like it keeps
Mm.
following the same beats over and over again, and it's funny to some extent, but it leaves room for more. Like I would have liked to see more just more. There's more than one way to solve a problem. It's not D&D. you know
Yeah.
like surely there was a different way to do it. Now that being said, the the necromancy scene at the end
Yeah, dude
was
was so sick.
one of the coolest scenes in the whole book. So
Yes,
damn cool. And it just that
oh, yeah.
moment did feel like everything kind of fell into place really neatly. The whole team sort of felt like they were working together. And then Balthasar, after his deal with the devil gone wrong, he finally has a bit of a moment to shine, and he actually shines. It feels really cool, and it feels well deserved. but it kind of sucks that you only get that moment here and there. It's like it's very sporadic. Half the time they're just joking or having sex with each other, or
Yeah.
or is Jacob challenging someone to a duel, knowing
Yeah,
damn well that he can't die and very
that is
clearly
the
stalling
devil's.
for time.
Yeah. Oh man, no. It's kind of funny. Like when you put it that way, it is kind of funny that he's like, this is his thing. He just challenges people to duels. He knows he can't lose.
Hey, it's like me with the
That is really
mezcal,
funny. Yeah, it's like you with the mezcal. Yeah,
What
exactly.
are you gonna do?
Uh, but and I like that I don't remember the brother's name. I like that he like just decided like, no, I'm done with that. I'm gonna everybody kill him. Like that was nice. I did enjoy that. And okay, since it is cyclical, judging specifically this section alone, how did this brother compare to the others? How did this fight compare to the others? How did this group compare to the other groups? Was this your favorite, least favorite? Because I think we're at a point now where like we probably have not you have the final fight, right? You're not going to
Hmm.
have another brother like this with just a couple of guys. It's going to be the final battle where there's a twist and her uncle probably betrays her and says something like, I don't know, like we there is no claim to the throne or something. Like it's probably what's going to happen. Something like that. Like, it's actually for me. I don't know. But that's what's next, right? So I think we had our core 3 fights. So how does this one compare?
Um, I liked it. I mean, once you get past the fact that it kind of repeats some of the beats as the previous ones. I mean,
Yeah.
they even mention it at some point where Alex is like, "Oh my god, this is just like the inn," and then
I
Balthazar's like,
was
"Yeah, except the inn had a door."
yeah, I thought about that. I was like, dang, I feel like he
Like,
just caught me like thinking the same thing.
it's just
But the
yeah, yeah,
door
yeah.
scene, the door line was funny. That was funny.
Like it is funny when he does bring attention to that. I think I enjoyed the little twist in this one where the brother is the experiment. Where he talks about how the other brothers lacked the vision, and then he flaps his wings, his angel wings.
did it did it okay, like I don't remember. Did that do anything? Like did it change anything whatsoever?
Not really, because he tried to fly and then he was caught.
Yeah. I was like, that is so cool. That scene was so epic. And I'm like, I don't it didn't do anything. He just
Well,
died. He didn't change the battle at all. Like he had this epic reveal, but not
it's
like
like
he if he
any
didn't do the reveal, nothing would have changed.
right, right. No, I kept thinking of like every D&D session we've ever had, and for reference, we
Yeah,
played D&D, and
yeah.
I'll have this really cool idea, and I'll do it, and then you just roll a D1. I mean, you
You
roll a
roll a one,
D20
yeah.
and it lands on a one, right? And it just
Yeah.
fails. So that's what it felt like, and I did laugh during that scene.
Yeah.
It wasn't like anything crazy. The brothers are very like bland characters. You don't really
Yeah, they're
there's
not
not a lot
developed.
together. They're not
Yeah.
supposed to be, I don't think. And in that sense, it was entertaining. I like that this one was like more scaled. He felt a bit more challenging, but at the same time, you know, they're gonna succeed. You're just kind of waiting for them to get it over with. How about you though? How
Yeah.
did it rank for you?
I I liked the individual fights from the ship more. Um, because not that there was real tension, but there was a little bit with the duel in particular. Like that duel actually felt interesting, and he lost, but he won by using his ability, which I enjoyed. That's what I thought was going to happen here. I thought he was going to become a human shield, and I was going to be really happy. Be like, yeah, I knew it, and I probably would sit here saying the same thing of being like, I saw it coming. This isn't very interesting. So there's that, but it seemed way more fun for that to happen. I did, however, absolutely love the use of necromancy. And
Hmm.
that caught me off guard in a fun way where we've seen him, raise people he's immediately killed from the dead, which is cool. We've seen him use, dead bodies here and there. Like it's a well established power. Yet whenever they mention the tombstones and the people like the zombies coming out of the ground, in that kind of being a signal for the rest of the team arriving, that was a very fun way to cue the reader that the cavalry has arrived. That was a very very exciting way, and I was like, oh, they're in a a church. Like that was so fun. And then the plague, and like it was just fun. And I think it leaned into the I just kicked my camera. It leaned into the better side of what this book is going for. That's what I think.
I like that you point that out. Similarly, but on kind of on the other end, for me, this was the one time, or not the one time, but one of the times where I was fully into the story to the point where, like in hindsight, I picked up on the cues that were being dropped. Like, oh, we're in the church. Oh, this must have been where the priest tended to the sick. With the lung pox and the
The long
plague and
pause.
whatnot.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah, long pause. So cool.
And so when everybody's mentioning, when Brother Diaz is like, there's a lot of grapes down here, and it finally clicks for Balthazar, it also clicked for me as a reader. And that's one of
Yeah,
the
it was
most,
good.
like, I love it when books and movies do that, where like they kind of, like, at least for me, they sneak up on you. It's not, maybe it's not the cleverest, but you get so lost in the story that it actually does feel like you're the character realizing that at the exact same time. So that was a really well done scene. Um,
Yeah, it
but
achieved exactly what it was meant to.
Mhm. That being
Great.
said, though, I agree that the stakes felt a lot higher, or at least more desperate in the battle in the sea. In the ship. It felt like
Because
there
like,
was
where do
no
they
way out.
go?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
exactly.
where do like putting myself in that situation? I'm like, I'm dead. Like in the
Yeah,
middle
like
of the sea, I'm dead. And it ended with it feeling like they should be dead, except for
mhm.
they washed up on an island somewhere in the nondescript ocean. I
And
mean, in the
see, like that
Mediterranean,
that
right? Like,
that type of scene feels like it should have been the scene that, like, part 3 ended with. It felt more like desperate, more claustrophobic, more like, oh, all hope might just be lost. Like, where are they going to go from here? I mean, Alex didn't even know how to swim. So, it feels more desperate. But for what it's worth, I've enjoyed the fight scenes, like, very much. It's just, it's easy to see, or it's hard to ignore that they kind of do repeat themselves a little bit.
yeah, and again, and I think this is honestly probably the best first Joe Abercrombie book to read. I know we talked about that maybe in the first episode. We did like a prequel episode just to test our equipment out, so it might have been in there. But I do think that this is the best first Joe Abercrombie book because it introduces you to his prose and a little bit of how he writes characters, but it's not even close to his best. It's not even close to his second best. I haven't read all of his work, so I don't know if this is the worst, but I can confidently say anybody who reads this and likes this will love anything else that he writes. And so that's why I think The Devils by Joe Abercrombie is the best place to start.
Based on what you've read, which one do you think is his best work?
Oh, that's hard. So I haven't read a lot of his stuff. I've read the first two books of the First Law trilogy, which is two books. So he's read a lot more than that. He's written a lot more
The-
than that.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm currently on the last book of Red Rising, so I'm trying to. I can only read one book at a time. But my next book that I'm going to read is going to be like to finish off that trilogy. But the Blade itself just has a certain. It doesn't end particularly well, in my opinion. Like I didn't love the ending, but
Mhm.
because it leaves you on that place where you know that you have to read a second book in order for any real plot development to keep going. It doesn't end in a satisfying place, but the introduction to all the characters, the interactions, the storylines are 15 to 20 times more complex and nuanced than the Devil's. And that's his first book he ever wrote, first book he ever published, which is dumb.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
So
wild.
annoying. Yeah. So I would highly recommend, like, after somebody reads this, read the first law, like, the Blade itself is the first one. Read that, because if you enjoy the style of writing, then you're going to love the plot and characters in that one.
Yeah. No, and the prose in this book is so fun. It is so playful, so fun that it definitely makes me want to read more. So I might just have to check that out. Maybe we could do an episode.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so what about the two lovers, the lords who are lovers? Because I think that, this section, the theme is romance, baby, love, love,
Yeah.
love, sex, sex, sex.
Love.
Yeah, that is the theme of this section. Will they? Won't
Everybody's
they?
angry. Everybody's horny. Will they? Won't
Everybody's
they?
every everybody's angry. Everybody's horny. Isn't that life? That's it. Wow.
Uh,
So, anyways, how did you feel about that specific little arc?
no, I gotta say, I loved the realization that uh Jacob and Jacob and Rickard were on one side of the battlefield and Balthazar and Baptiste were on the other, and they saw each other. That made me be like, "Oh crap!" That I took. It was funny. I didn't expect it because I wasn't really. Part of it was that I wasn't invested in the like. Oh, we're kind of lost. Like everybody's lost, you know. I thought
Yeah,
that little arc was gonna wrap up pretty quickly, and it just kept
yeah,
going. Um, so I was just kind of scrubbing for the important stuff. So that kind of did sneak up on me. Um, I will say that I was expecting like some big battle. So when that big battle didn't happen, I actually kind of I vibed with it. I it was a risky move, I think, but this book has sort of subverted so many expectations already that it didn't feel out of place. That the two enemies would just fix this issue by making out, basically, and hooking up.
yeah. That's how
So I
most issues are fixed in this book, I feel. So,
mhm, just a
yeah. No,
good
that's a really good take. I think I
good hookup.
completely agree there. So I, similar to you, realized. I think I realized whenever Balthazar said that he needed the stones in No Man's Land, and I put two and two together, and I was like, "Oh wait, like, we should have known sooner." I think the reader was supposed to, and a smarter reader may have been able to, to find this out. But yeah, that's when I put the pieces together. But I agree, it was very fun to have them on either side of the negotiating table, and for them to, like, kind of have allegiance, but also not really care, totally be manipulating, like, everybody into doing what they want. Essentially, they're all horrible people, but they're devils, I guess. And I will
Mhm.
say, whenever they walked up to each other, immediately I don't know why. I think it's because of how many expectations have been subverted in the book. I immediately was like, oh no, they're going to have like a ridiculous makeout session right now, and they did. I was completely right. And I felt really good. And I agree, though it wasn't. It didn't feel out of place though because of all of the things that have happened so far in the book and continued to happen in the rest of the section. It was
Mhm.
exactly where we're supposed to be. And while
No,
it was not necessarily satisfying, it ended the section. It ended that little arc, and that was good enough for me because I just wanted them to be a team, just to be a team. So
Gabe just wants everyone to get along. That's his
I
whole
just want
thing.
everyone to get along. You know what my favorite book would be? It'd be a book where everybody just gets along, somebody dies, and my two qualifications: everybody gets along, and somebody has to die. I think that
Love and
is
death.
Love it, love and death. Hate,
What is
love,
life
death.
for if not for love and death?
Dude. Is it really a good book if everybody's not a little angry and a little horny, and then also they get along?
We're angry, we're horny. That's all there is to it.
Okay,
Uh,
so I know that whenever we started this, you mentioned that you'd never read Grimdark. And while I wouldn't classify this as Grimdark anymore, and I know we've been talking about that a lot this episode, um, at this point, most of the way through the book, it's not exactly grim. It's not serious as a lot of Grimdark books, but you do have the blood, you do have the violence and the visceral descriptions and the vulgar dialogue. So, was that particularly surprising to you? What stood out? What hasn't?
uh, I think. Oh, what was that? Oh, no, no, no. Hold on. What
Hello,
was that? What is
Brewski.
that? Ah,
Hello,
let's
Brewski,
go.
my
Be
own.
here.
This
All
is what I was
right.
drinking last. I think it was last week, where I had my whiskey sour and I drank it too fast, so I
Mm,
grabbed a beer. This is my beer. My also nondescript pilsner. However,
non-sponsored either.
if yeah, I was about to say, however, if anybody ever wanted to sponsor us for their alcohol, go ahead. We would love to.
That's how you know we've made it.
We
If
made
people
it.
start selling us
Yeah, if
alcohol,
a yeah, if a I don't. Can they do that? Is that legal? Can alcohol company? Surely, right?
I'm sure they can. We'll
I'm sure
find
they
out.
can. You know what? If you want to test it, if you want to see if you can sponsor us, go ahead. You want to see if you can sponsor us, or if just send us free stuff. We'll drink. That's fine.
Send us an email
On
at readdrinkramble@gmail.com.
Read, Drink, Ramble. Hear it right now. Read, Drink, Ramble at gmail.com. Send us your sponsored alcohol of any kind. Specifically, something that's like lighter would be kind of
Um,
tasty, especially to drink a lot of. But I enjoy darker things as well. Or liquor. Liquor's good too. Anyways, back to the regularly scheduled program. So we were talking about Grimdark,
mhm.
expectations versus reality.
Grimdark.
Nor,
I
what
don't
were
really
your
know a lot of.
things?
Right,
Good.
right. Um, yeah, I've never read Grimdark before. I expected. I don't know. When I think of Grimdark, I think of like Game of Thrones. That's the main one. I don't really know if that classifies as Grimdark because I haven't read it
Yeah.
or seen it.
Yeah.
Um,
Bro, you
yeah, like
haven't read
you
or
told
seen
me
Game
this
of
was
Thrones?
Grimdark.
I
No,
haven't I never really
we might.
internalized that. Dude,
No,
what?
I have no knowledge of the world or the series or
I
anything.
would
Just that it was a
reread the
really
books with
successful.
you. Oh my
Uh,
gosh, what? Okay,
are we
sorry.
doing
I
it?
that just no, that just caught me off guard. Yeah, yeah, we
We might
definitely
have
have
to. We
to
might have to.
yeah,
Yeah,
anyways, that is Grimdark. That is indeed Grimdark.
yeah. I know you told me this was Grimdark or that you thought it was. As soon as I read the like synopsis, and as soon as I understood what the premise was, I gotta say like my Grimdark expectations kind of just vanished. I was expecting more like Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
whatever genre that is. Like gory comedy, Quentin Tarantino. It feels more like Quentin Tarantino gory than what I imagine Game of Thrones is. Um,
Yeah.
which I think personally I just vibe with a lot more. I mean, you know me, I'm whimsy as hell,
I know you.
and
I know
yeah,
you,
like
bro.
the humor in this book is very up my alley. Um, and in that sense, I have been satisfied tone wise. But while I like the humor and the absurdity of it all, I still want that emotional core, that emotional anchor that I can hold on to. And I still really don't feel it. If any of the characters in this book die, I don't know if I would particularly feel like that sad. Like maybe Sunny or Alex, they feel like the most they don't necessarily feel like the emotional core. They just feel like the most like naive or pure, if they can
Mhm.
even be considered pure. Um, but yeah, that's my answer to that question.
Okay, this is totally like stepping a completely different direction here.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Go.
Um, but do you remember that scene where right before the battle kicked off at the little church where Sonny is invisible and like altering everybody's stuff and like cutting somebody's like loosening somebody's belt here or making sure that their arrow is like slightly dislodged there. Do you remember that scene?
Yes.
I liked that. I liked that scene. That was a good scene. I very much enjoyed it. That scene I watched. I read and I was like, wow, this it reminded me of Quicksilver, right? In X-Men, whenever
Ah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
Sweet
yeah,
dreams are made
it's
of
like,
this. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. That
yeah.
scene is exactly what's running in my head the entire time, and it was so wholesome because Sonny does the most wholesome things to screw with everybody. But at the same time, I was thinking about it, and while we were criticizing his writing not being the most interesting in other places, that to me was the most interesting option to use your invisibility for, to walk around and
Mhm.
make the slightest inconveniences for everybody around, so that whenever things really kicked off, everything would go slightly wrong for all of the bad guys there, because you have your muscle memory with all these things. You have your way of doing things. By interrupting that just slightly, you can cause somebody to kill themselves or get
Yeah, it
caught up. And it was
can
just
make or
so
break.
smart. Well, like think about it. If you're in
Mhm.
like a knife fight and your pants fall down, like what do you like?
Oh, well,
How
yeah,
are you
yeah.
gonna? How do you survive? And that was just to me, a brilliant moment that I fell in love with, and was one of my favorite moments in the book, because I mean I think it's probably because I was thinking of X-Men and I like X-Men, so I was probably part of it. But I don't know, I total total segue into a completely different zone. I know we were talking about Grimdark, but I just thought about that scene whenever you're talking, when you said Sonny's name. It's just like a vision. I had a vision. I needed to talk about it.
No, I'm glad you did. But no, I mean, it brings up an important point that I feel like we need to repeat one more time. Is that this book is not bad. It's not a bad
No,
book.
no,
It has a lot of good moments, and it's really fun. And I know we kind of trashed the book for like the first
it's
half
been,
half
yeah. I
hour
was
of
about to
the
say, I was about to
episode.
say, we've also been trashing it for like, I guess, a month and a half now. Like,
Which which is
like
which is which is crazy if you know us. We're not people who like
we're glazers,
we're the
baby. We're absolute
we're
glazers.
glazers. We are total glazers. So this podcast is doing wonders for our cynicism and
Yeah.
pessimism. And
When I finish in like 30 years, when I finish making this podcast, because we're doing this for 30 years. Oh, sorry, Nora.
there we
But
go.
when we finish, and I'm like 50 something years old, and I, step away from the mic for the final time, my goal is to hate everything I read. To look at everything I read and see every flaw, every, wrong every wrong piece of prose, every wrong presentation of, relationships. I want to see nothing good except for that book, that one book that shines through the darkness, because right now almost every book shines through the darkness because I just like reading. But I would love that one day, you read something like insert good book, Nor.
Dire of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah, I read my Diary of the Wimpy Kid, and it just you know just blows my mind. I'm looking for that. The cynicism that makes the works of art, the masterpieces show. It's a really aggressive take, but that's my take.
And in no, I mean in the end, isn't that what life is all about?
Being horny and being angry.
Oh, we're angry, we're horny, you know.
Yeah, and we read great works of fiction.
Hooray!
With that being
Oh,
said, before we end today's episode, Nor, I first want to ask some predictions. What do you think is going to happen at the end of the book? What is the final section going to hold for us? What's going to occur?
I don't really know. At this point, everything feels like it's not really going the way I think it is. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. I think this book is gonna end in a similar vein as part 3 ended. And that is to say, in a very lighthearted, I guess we did it kind of way. And they're just gonna talk about the things they talk about as if this was nothing more than just another mission. But I think Abercrombie's gonna pull it off in a funny way. I don't know if that makes sense. Just in the
Yeah,
because another big theme of this book has been that, like, for the Chapel of the Holy Expediency, this is just another day in the life, you know? And there's something funny about that. And if this is if there are gonna be more books in this series and it's gonna
yeah,
follow the same episodic format, I do think it's gonna be one of those moments where, you know, they're all gonna be in a campfire or maybe drinking a or having a drink, and they're just gonna make
having
jokes
sex.
and laugh,
It's one of the,
having
yeah.
sex, you know, because they're angry and they're horny. And yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. But as for
I
like
think it
big
does.
plot, I don't really know, you know. I'm still expecting that twist, but I don't really know how he's actually gonna pull it off. I feel like there's a lot riding on this last part, you know, because again, there's that lack of that emotional core. But
Do
I,
you
I
think
don't know. What are your thoughts?
Alex is going to, graduate and become Empress of Troy? Do you think Alex is going to inevitably stick with them, become one of the devils? What do you? Because it seems like maybe a found family situation is, trying to happen here, where it's going to be like, oh, I can't be Empress, but I have my family. Like, what do you think that's going to happen?
I th- I don't know. I can see it going both ways, you know. I can also see them doing something bold and like, no, no, never mind. I don't. I was
Well,
gonna
somebody
say,
has to die. Somebody has to die, right? Like somebody has to exit because, from what I understand, there are more devils in the like what he described, at least for the second book. Not to spoil too much, but I do believe there's a talking cat person or a talking
oh,
cat. Like that's one of the main characters is a
hmm.
cat or something like that. There's a cat involved. It's a cat person, and because people love cats, and he was like, I like cats too. So I know that that's part of it. And there are other devils that are introduced, and it's not all the same cast. Like some of them are the same, but not all of them. So I feel like somebody, right? Somebody has to bite it. Sonny's gonna die.
Yeah, I can see Sunny dying. That's what I was gonna say. Yes.
Sonny's
I
dead.
feel like I feel like she's gonna die.
She
Yes.
has no flaws. Sonny's dead. Sonny's gonna die. No question. I'm making that everybody here, the world hears me. Sonny's dead. Sonny's dead. Next time, if I'm right, I'm going to open up the next podcast by saying, guys, wait, no, I probably shouldn't open with a spoiler just in case somebody accidentally clicks. It just hears that. Like clicks.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, I'm trying to look for episode 3, clicks on episode 4. Sonny's dead. I knew it. No. Okay. I'll say sometime in the episode next time if I'm right. But I think you're right though. It's going to end with a happy-go-lucky like word. You know, it's not about Troy. It's about the devils we made along the way. It's going to be that thing.
Maybe
So
the real Empress of Troy were the devils we made along the way.
the
Like
devils
that.
we made along the way.
And
Exactly.
then
Okay.
the music swells up, the camera pans
Mm.
up.
And
Yeah.
there are
Mm,
like,
mm,
yeah,
mm.
the campfire. You have the embers that flicker into the sky. You can
Yeah,
hear the
there we
crickets.
go.
The crickets sing. Yeah, and it follows
Woo!
that right into the credits. That's exactly. Yeah.
Written by Joe Abercrombie.
Maybe we should have watched movies instead of read books.
Oh, it's okay.
We
Yeah,
could
we're
just
saving that. We're saving
describe.
that for later.
We're saving that for later. Yeah, for that exciting time. So okay, your drink,
Ugh,
your delicious drink. Did you finish your drink?
not yet.
Dude,
Here, let
it's
me.
a massive. Wait, how close are you? How close are you? It's
I'm
like you
I'm
got a
I'm,
tall boy.
I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close.
Okay, I'll
Here we
chug
go.
the rest of this. Okay, okay.
All right, here we go.
Wow. Because here at Novels and Nightcaps, that was a lot of beer. We
Huh.
finished our drinks. Good night and
We
have a good week.